We on?
Yes.
I just don't take care of myself. People on? Hello, everybody.
Yeah. So this is new to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi,
Yes.
everybody. Toby Henderson, Box Components. We're trying something new today because there's kind of a pivotal point in the company with our new gen derailleurs coming and where we started and where we're going. And you can say I've been wearing beige shirts the last few events versus the original black ones. Just happened to be something right there, right? So anyway, so today we want to do a Q&A. So I need a lot of questions answered. We're going to talk about people want. So Chloe put out a questionnaire asking what people want to know about, and people, the number one thing was the history of Box. Is that not correct?
Yes.
History of Box, Toby, something else, and product.
Products.
Right?
Yeah.
So we talked a lot about the products. We had a lot of athletes on the show. We're trying something new where we're streaming on 4 platforms right now. I think 5 with the phone. It's a kind of a new cool thing that Chloe found. So hopefully a lot of people are seeing it, and hopefully a lot of people are going to get some questions. Because if you don't ask me questions, I can talk about myself all day long and what I've done for Box and what I've done to this point. So you guys need to ask me. Otherwise, I'm going to sit here and talk about how cool I am. And we don't want to all hear that, right? So anyway, I don't think you're touching the mouse, Chloe. So bear with us. Let's have some fun. Only because, hey, why not, right? So do we see people or do we see the chats? Where we see that stuff at, Chloe?
I am learning too.
So Chloe's learning too. Sorry we're doing it now. But again, like I said, it's something new for us, right? So we went to Sea Otter, which is a mountain bike event. I know a lot of BMX people are here, but there was a lot of BMXers at Sea Otter last year, or about 2 months ago, because they have a dual slalom race and a lot of BMX guys show up for that. So anyway, we did show the new Send It bike there. We had all of our new drivetrain, but we went beige. And why are we doing this is this kind of, like I said, it's a pivotal point for the company in many ways. One of those being we have a brand new drivetrain system, 100% designed and developed in this building. We have a full test lab, engineering labs, all a couple doors down. Something that I don't think exists in America except for maybe the 2 other big guys for drivetrain. So it's kind of like I said, it's a pivotal point in our career or in our 12-year existence. And I think that's why we're here today, right, Chloe, is to talk about
how we got.
I don't want to say rebranding because we did change the logo, I don't know, 8 years ago to something more contemporary. But we did go all beige at the mountain bike thing. Our BMX stuffs, she'll travel around with Donovan. That's all black still, but we have a whole new look in that whole thing where we're just showing multiple bikes, multiple partner frame companies, and we built all those bikes up and been showing them for quite some time. So, and Donovan's back in town. Every race he went to, it rained. Sorry, Donovan. So he had a nightmare at the BMX races, but he went to probably 12 races, something like that. He's been gone for well over a month between his clinics and the races and the days at the track. He went to a lot of events. So thanks, Donovan, for that. Anyway, I don't see questions coming up, Chloe. That's because of the multiple platforms, maybe.
Not sure. This is still new to us, but they should come up here.
Okay.
I think there was a slow start because I started seeing people come in a little bit later.
But usually the Instagram people, especially the BMX people, are like all over us by now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little concerned about that. So we might have to talk about me, which we don't want to do. I can do it, but that's not kind of the idea, right? So anyway, 12 years ago, matter of fact, I think October of 2011 is when we became a corporation. The Cycle Group Inc. is the name of the company, in case you guys didn't know that, right? So you're not on Instagram, Robert Cardoza is saying.
I'll go ahead and do that here.
All right. Thanks, Robert. I guess you can hear me. How do you find us, Robert? I can see what you're typing. The new bike looks nice. That's an expert frame, by the way. We just got those yesterday, samples. That's not a pro. That's an expert. It's really light. I'm really happy with that. So how did you find us, Robert, if we're not on Instagram? You know, Instagram has an X on it, Chloe. You see that?
This is X. This is Twitter.
No. Oh, that. Okay.
And then Instagram's right here. It's supposed to be live.
I got all your notifications from Go Live.
That's why.
All right.
Okay.
Go Live. That's why we're not getting anybody. So Robert, our biggest follower, I got to give you that, Robert.
Yes, there.
All right. So you're on Instagram. I get all your notifications from all platforms. Good job, Robert. Oh man, I'm now jealous, Robert, of you. Anyway, so I think she's got on Instagram. Is that right, Robert? Can you maybe check that for us since you're going to be our guinea pig, I think? Did you only one chiming in? So anyway, 12 years ago, well, I want to say October of 2011. All right, so we're on Instagram, supposedly. We'll see if some more questions pop up. There we go. Justin Tompkins, Robert's my Cordo's my hero. I got Robert. You got fans, man. All right, Facebook is a go. All right, we're getting somewhere. All right, Chloe's got some. What's it called, Chloe? What's this program called? Restream, which is a program where you do one live and it goes out to everybody. It only costs $1 million a month, but we're okay. Anyway, Danny Holt, Facebook is a go. So we're kind of hearing that. We're good. So all right, let me start over a little bit. Toby from Box, here we are. It's a question and answer time about the history of Box. Chloe had asked or put out an email to everybody or a questionnaire to everybody asking what they wanted to hear from us. It was history, about the company, about Toby. There was another one before product, you said. What was that?
The warehouse.
The warehouse, JoJo. We might have to go find JoJo. But we were doing this from a laptop, so it's a little bit different format than we are right now. And then product. So we decided to take the number one request and talk about the history of the company. But we need you guys to ask the questions. Otherwise, I'll sit there and talk about myself all day long. What's up, Box fan? Can't read an Irish tea. I don't know. All right, I get to read this. I like this, Chloe. I can actually read them and see myself for the first time. All the other ones, I couldn't see myself, couldn't see the athletes or the questions, right? We use Restream on all things BMX. If Chloe has questions, have contact with me. Okay, all right. So Justin's giving you some props. All right. So anyway, so until I get some questions about the history of Box, I'm going to tell you guys basically how it started. So I had a company called VSI, Vigor Sports Inc. It was doing really, really well. But I sold that company in 2011 and I started Box October 2011, but it was The Cycle Group is actually the official name of the company. And at that time we had Box and ProMax, and we started developing two tiers of product. Mostly I started going after the BMX market under the Box being the higher one and ProMax being the lower one. A couple years into that, we started the drivetrain business, which is why we're doing this rebranding and why we're talking about it today. So Justin, you got different. How did you come up with the name, Box name? Good question, Justin. All right. So when I had THE, which by the way, guys, I got it back. THE is now owned by Toby again. Long story. There is a product in the works. There's actually a couple products in the works. So we'll see that down the road a little bit. But when I had THE, Justin, I would always walk into a trade show, or I went to England to our distributor. We had this big fancy night of honoring people and silent auctions and all that fun stuff in England. And they had these big podiums on the side with all the names of the companies that they were supporting. And THE was at the bottom. So I'm like, oh man, I don't want my name to be last all the time. But I knew I wanted 3 letters. And I knew I wanted to be at the top of the alphabet. It was really that simple. That was what I wanted. And then I just wrote down 100 names. There were 3 letters and started with, first letters at the top of the alphabet. And Box to me stood out. It felt strong. It felt racy. It felt everything I wanted to do. Some of the other names I kind of wanted were unavailable, but so I just went through it. So I contacted the USPTO, and lo and behold, they came back and said, somebody else has Box 9 in Germany. And a friend of mine in Germany owned a company called Box 9. It was a model name. Anyway, so I called him up and said, hey, do you mind if I start a company called Box? He said, I don't care. So he wrote to the USPTO, and he said he wasn't concerned about us using the word Box. So we were granted the name Box by the USPTO. But remember, we're still The Cycle Group Inc. is the name of the company because we had multiple brands at one point. So anyway, that's how the Box name got started. I just wanted 3 letters because supposedly marketing says 3 letters stick with your brain a little bit better. I don't know about send it because that's 5 letters, but 6 letters. I don't know anymore. Anyway, so that's how it happened, Justin. And people like it. 12 years later, here we are. The brand seems to be extremely strong. The mountain bike stuff starting to really come to light again because of our new stuff that we launched at Sea Otter and have pushed out to some customers so far. And we're getting a lot of good feedback on that. There's some OEM business coming, mainly because we started 9-speed and some of the other guys, I'm not going to say names, are now doing 9-speed. So Box is the originator of it. So we'll see how that goes. So we're starting to get some love there. Anyway, so yeah, so the name came from there. And again, you froze. Robert says I froze. Do I froze? I'm not frozen. How about now, Robert? It's probably because our Wi-Fi is good here. Should be okay. All right, we'll keep asking them. So, because I don't see any more questions popping up. So, anyways, we start talking about myself again, unless you guys ask questions. So, 2011, we sold the other company and we started this company. And basically, January 1st, 2012, we walked into a company with a couple people, Michelle and Michael, the first 2 employees. And we started this company. Moved in this building April 1st of 2012. Maybe April 31st of 2012. And, the warehouse, we can go see that again. That's what we got, this big one. Then we got the building next door, and we've been growing ever since then. We didn't ship our first product until Halloween. That day, we sold our very first products, which was a brake pad. It took us 10 months to make a brake pad, but we had hundreds of products we're working on at the same time. And so you guys know we do have over 700 SKUs out back. So they can't see it. People can't hear it. No sound. Maybe Robert, are you on Instagram, or where are you at? We should probably test all this stuff, Chloe.
Yeah.
So you guys are our guinea pigs. Anyway, so we started shipping product in October, and well, here we are 700 SKUs later. And I think we supply more BMX products to anybody. We're working on Gen 2 derailleurs. Gen 1 launch wasn't what we had planned. It was a little older platforms, but we learned we had to do everything in this building by ourselves with a full R&D department, full test lab. You mountain bike guys have seen the test lab, and sometimes we've gone to test lab with the BMX guys too, I think, right? So anyway, we're here. Questions?
Are you ever going to make Carbon Pro BMX cranksets?
Oh, I don't know. I do not know about carbon fiber BMX Pro cranksets. I'm a little weary of carbon on a crankset. I'm a little weary of that. I personally don't want to do it. I think it should be aluminum. We are working on new stuff right now, and carbon, we've looked at it, and nobody wants to do the quantities that we would sell, and they would be so expensive. I don't think anybody would want them. So anyway, at this point, it's a no. Hi from Guy. Round 2 BMX. Okay. Hey, Guy. All right. People are saying hi. Facebook is good. So they can hear me on Facebook, but maybe Insta, Robert's saying. So
it's Instagram. It's good.
It's good. All right. So here we are. So, all right. So Guy, thanks for the hi, but you guys got any questions? We're talking about the history of Box. I kind of said we started in October of 2011 after I sold my shares of VSI, which was Vigor Sports Inc., which owned THE, which I said we got back now. It had Signs, Intense BMX, Vigor helmets. We had some freestyle brands and stuff there as well, but we had multiple brands under one house, and we were kicking butt at the time. But my partner was a little older than I was, and he was wanting to get out, so we sold the company, and I moved on over here to Box and started that thing from scratch, and here we are. 12 and a half years, 2012 till now. 12 and a half years we've been around. So anyway, Robert's back, replying to Justin Toppins, like the car Porsche made Boxer. No, I think it was more 3 words, top of the list, right? Aren't you going to tell anybody about your employees? Like Chloe and JoJo? I don't know. We do. So we have, good question, Robert. We have 9 people here, right, in the building, and we have maybe 2 outside, right? So we have a new purchasing guy named Reich. We have a sales guy named Thomas. We have a customer service person named Jorge. We have an engineer named Harrison here. We have a lead engineer in Taiwan. We have a guy in China that runs around and handles all the product for us there. And then we have JoJo, which I know you guys want to see JoJo. And then we have Tammy. Don't forget about Tammy. Tammy's the glue. Everything that kind of goes through Tammy's hands, and she comes and she sits at the front of the room. She's got an office by the front door. all the paperwork, all the phones, all that go through Tammy. She kind of guides all that stuff. I sit in my office getting fat, making product is my job. So and kind of guide the team to give some good direction. Like Level Up was an idea I had a long time ago, which is a huge success. Now it's called Factory Up. That was something that we drummed up. Anyway, but it takes a team of people, Robert, and I think that was a good question because without I can never do all this. I know that. So it takes a team of people. It takes a lot of sales to keep these people, right? We're here in Southern California. Things are not cheap to here. Our rent just went up 30%. I mean, it's tough, especially in BMX. Someone asked about carbon fiber cranks. You go to manufacturers and you say you give a quantities that BMX will hold. It's very tough to get some manufacturers to do a lot of custom stuff for you because our quantities just are small for the bike industry themselves. But we seem to make it work and have the 700 SKUs to prove that, right? So Tammy does all that work here. Robert again. And then heads to the track. You're right. So Tammy leaves on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays to the track by 2 p.m. So she goes to Bellflower BMX. That's her track she's had for, I don't know, maybe 20 years. Well, she's had it ever since she's been working here, and she's our longest employee. She's been here for 11 years, right? She's the longest one of all of them. We have John he's in the Pacific Northwest, another engineer. That's what I forgot. We have Craig doing OEM sales. He's in New York. Who else we got? Somebody else I'm missing. So I missed John and Craig, so I think that's 11 people that we have here. Oh, Ken, and we have a vice president who actually keeps the place glued together like Tammy. He's off. He's out of town right now. He's actually in Brazil in the Amazon. He saw a pink elephant yesterday. That was pretty cool, right? And yeah, I don't feel sorry for him where he's at, but I do feel sorry for him where he's at because he's deep in the jungle, taking care of business. Anyway, so that's kind of who we are. We got in the drivetrain business from a request, and so wait a minute, which has been tough. Okay, so Tim, I can hardly read this. Solto, thank you for the great product, top-notch love, everything you guys are doing. 4 muscles. Oh. Anyway, that's cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate that, Tom. Tim.
The person who asked for the carbon cranks is for people for under 120 pounds. Do you have anything for that?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we have a crank that is very expensive here. It's $400 for younger kids. It's not carbon, but we don't sell a lot of them. I think the price point. That's something we can look at. Yeah, because the pro stuff for sure I don't want to do in carbon, and for the kid stuff, the kids grow so fast. If I make a carbon fiber crank at 135, and next month the guy needs a 140, and the month he needs a 145, and next thing you know, dad's got to buy 10 sets of cranks before the kid starts to slow his growth down. I think that's tough for the dads. So, and it takes a tool in carbon. It takes a tool for each size, but in aluminum, you can make a long tool and you can cut the tool and then thread the pedal insert in. So it's not as expensive to get started, but carbon, you need a tool for every size. And I don't see a lot of carbon BMX cranks out there. So maybe that's why you're asking. Anyway, back to that product though, which is fine. You can ask what you want. I don't care. Anyway.
But I do need another person. I do need a 5-inch carbon bar with no crossbar. Please, prototypes welcome.
Okay, that takes a tool. And 5-inch, why don't you want a crossbar? There's a certain point of leverage. This is why we make the titanium bar, and we don't make anything over 7 inches in aluminum. We don't make anything over 6 inches in carbon because there's a leverage thing. When that thing's hooked to the stem, you start pulling, that leverage starts to tear up at the stem area, right? So, and then there's also, without a crossbar, you start doing this, I think a certain width or a certain height. I don't know. 5 inches might be okay, but I don't know. That's a very expensive tool, so no prototypes. I'll tell you what, I'll make one, but the first one is 10 grand and the second one's $150. That means you pay for the tool. I'm happy to make it. I don't think the tool's 10 grand, maybe 6 grand, something like that. Anyway.
What about a pedal design?
What about a pedal design? I don't know. There's some pretty good ones out there. We'll just have to wait and see on that one because there's stuff being worked on. There's always stuff being worked on here. You guys know that. Right?
How has it been competing with other popular fork manufacturers that seem to have the market cornered in the late 90s to now?
Well, I don't know that anybody had a quarter in the late 90s because we can't come around 2010. In the late 90s, there's only one fork that was kind of like that, but now there's a bunch of forks out there. I'm sorry to say other manufacturers, a lot of them are based upon box forks. I don't like that. I agree with that question. I think that maybe in the late 90s, yes, Answer had the fork. They were probably the only one. Then I created a Science fork, which was kind of heavy and clunky. And it took me a few years to figure that out. And then we started competing with Answer. And then we made the box fork. And now everybody makes a fork. So everybody makes a fork. So I don't know. I think the whole thing's kind of washed up at this point, right? Yeah, we lost a lot of sales to those other, I don't want to say copies, but I'm going to say it anyway.
BMX Terrible Taco. Can you say hi?
Hi to BMX Terrible Taco. Man, that's a mouthful. That was pretty funny. Chloe liked that when she actually laughed. All right, we might have to see. Well, I don't know if we can see JoJo. That door's locked. It's a long story. We have people who come into this building that shouldn't come in, so we kind of try to lock down all the warehouse stuff. And if you were in the conference room right now, it's a big room we're in, and that's the door to the warehouse, but it doesn't have a knob on it. If you can see that, it's history of the company, right? All right, so we have the beautiful Pro Fork. Wait a minute. Thanks, you sir. The great products. Okay, Roberts is a beautiful Pro Fork. So, do we tell them about X6? I'm going to tell them about X6 because we have an ad coming. So, I don't know if you guys know, but we went to BMX Worlds last week. We had 5 gold medals and a silver in the 6 classes that are available. We walked away with 8 total medals in the class with Elaine, Yvonne, and a few other younger athletes from around the world. So it's 5 of 6 gold medals. We almost won all 6. Joris Dade beat Nick Keeman. Otherwise, it would have been 6 for 6. And many of these guys, especially Nick and these guys, are on the new X6 fork. And I think Robert is, referring to that. Maybe he doesn't know, but we do have a new fork coming out with a titanium steer tube. It's something I think is better than the aluminum steer tubes. It's a little bit more strong, a tiny bit heavier, extremely expensive. But as you guys can see, we've been doing titanium stuff for a while. We have a great manufacturer that's helping us with that. So we started with the cogs and lock rings, and then now the handlebars, which took literally 3 years to make. They're coming in perfect now. Took a long time to figure out how to do that. But yeah, so we got this new fork with the titanium steer tube. Guys love it. Carlos Ramirez was on it. He got 4th at the Worlds. So very excited about that fork. And we're going to run an ad next month in Pool Magazine showing the new fork, right? You've been able to get that artwork, call that? Yeah.
We're still gathering some.
So she's got some work. Chloe's got some work to do to make the ad look right. We had to get mug shots of all the riders and show the 8 people that won medals on our fork. And pretty excited about that because the medals were only a total of 6 times 3 is 18, and we won 8. It's not bad, right? And 5 of those being gold of the 6. So with the adoption of transponders globally, do you see the need for side plates and number plates going away? No, I think the transponder is only looked at when it comes to being closed. I know it tells them, but at least with USA BMX, they're writing that stuff down. I don't think they're going to take that away at all. We have a huge relationship with both USA BMX and UCI who require our number plates. I don't see, and we're about ready to sign another 4-year deal with the Olympics and everybody else that we support. So I don't see it going away. I do see some fun transponder stuff that we're actually working on since the Worlds because they're kind of clunky and hang out there in the middle of nowhere. So we're kind of playing with that a little bit, but I don't see it going away. I think that, every time I see a bike without a number plate, I'm like, anyway. Right. Anybody else over there?
Yeah. Cheeto Drury, would you
Cheeto? Yeah. What's up?
Would you prefer seeing BMX continue to head in the direction of the past, or would you rather see it turn a corner and head in a new direction entirely?
That's a good question, Cheeto. Man, you're tough, Cheeto. Give me the hard ones. I don't know. I wasn't, I'll be honest. So I wasn't a big fan of the big hill in the beginning, but let's go back. We're talking about the history, right? So when I started VSI, I had just finished my mountain bike career in 1998, and I laid in the pool for a couple of years. That's a long story. I had nothing else to do with my life. By the time I turned 40, because I raced till I was 38, I said, what am I going to do with my life? So I said, I wanted to make products since I was 12 years old. That's really what I wanted to do for a living. So I said, let's go make some BMX stuff as I have this relationship with USA BMX. And so I went up to a race and I looked down at the track and I realized the tracks are nothing like they were in my day. Completely different. It was blue groove turns or bank turns. I'm wondering why the bottom brackets are so high and tires were so knobby-ish and all these things. So I basically started creating products that were relevant for the tracks at that time. And that would have been around 2003-ish, 2002, I think. So when I started doing all this product for VSI, anyway, we kind of changed the way the sport was. I mean, all the frame makers had to react and lower their bottom brackets. All the tire manufacturers had to react and make smoother, faster tires. So anyway, so that was based upon the track those days. And they weren't big hills at the time. So eventually Big Hill came and I was kind of against it. And I kind of fell in love with it. I was starting to kind of get around to it because it's just where everybody's going. And the reason why I wasn't in love with it was when they first started, the first jump had a big 40-foot lip to lip, but there was nothing in between. You had to jump it. There was no escape. What concerned me is the guys are touching each other over the takeoff. It's just a disaster, right? So anyway, at the Worlds, they filled that 40-foot in. It's grass, so you don't want to be on it. But if you were bumped before you take off, at least you're not going to smack into the second jump. So for me, I actually fell in love with the big track or the big hill a few weeks ago. Really fell in love with it only because I think some of the danger factor had gone away that was originally there in the original big hill track. So back to Cheeto's question. I don't know, Cheeto. I don't know. Where would it go? Frogtown's been popular. Dirty Fest was really popular a few weeks ago. Flat turns in the dirt off camber, taking their feet out. I don't know. I just don't know that our kids today are gonna step up to the table and do that, right? So that was my son Ryder calling me. He didn't know what I'm doing. Anyway, if Jill's watching, maybe James' mom, maybe he can call Ryder back. He needs to bring T-shirts over here for Tammy. It's a long story. Anyway, he's still calling me. Yeah. Jill, call Ryder. Anyway, please. Anyway, yeah, I don't know, Cheeto. I don't know that they're going to go. I don't know where it would go from here. I know one thing. We have to make our products differently now than we did before because of the impacts that these guys are taking, especially on the second jump at a pro track. Those guys are smacking that berm and they're using the jumps for brakes. And I mean, it's different. So that means the product has to be different. I saw last week in Tennessee, the tar turn, it got wet. Nobody could go through the first turn without falling. So there's going to be new tire choices. So I want to see it change. I don't know which way it would go, only because it allows us to make product that's relevant and starts to follow the tracks, which helps us make money and helps us grow the sport and all that fun stuff. So anyway, Cheeto, we'll see. Do you think the Big Hill drives some parents to not allow their kids to race BMX at this point? Robert, I think so. I think that I know that, I don't know. I mean, I got through my career without being too hurt, and so my son was doing it pretty much. And I didn't, and he's more mountain bike guy, but I started realizing I'm glad he's not pursuing it because as fast as he needs to go to be a downhill or what he has to do to hit that first jump, I don't want him to get hurt. So you might be right, Robert. You might be right about that. I don't have firsthand, but that's a good point. So James King asked something, we asked him, what inspired you to start the Level Up Effective program? Good point. A couple things. Trying to get bike shops to carry BMX stuff has always been a struggle. JD Cycles is doing a good job with that now, and he's getting the shops to really carry box. So, but for a while there, we couldn't really get the stuff to the kids, and the kids were always asking us for sponsorship and how do they get the product. So, I grew up as a motorcycle guy. I raced high school motocross. We got Letterman's jackets, and I actually won 2 world championships on a motorcycle, vet world champion and 4-stroke world champion in the mid '80s. So I have a lot of motorcycle background. So I follow that. And the Kawasaki Team Green thing really just always stuck with me because I was, amateur motocross guy, not pro, as old men and 4-strokes were another thing, but back then 4-strokes were another thing. But anyway, I think the Team Green thing always stuck out to me because that's how people could earn money on a motorcycle and try to grow their career. And they're the only ones doing it, right? So that kind of inspired me to create something. I got to give it up to Justin for coming up with the name Level Up. He did that. We're talking about what we're going to do and bring the same name. It was his idea for the name Level Up. And then Thomas changed the factory up only because we have about 20 factories now that are playing with us, and they're looking at our riders, bringing them in. But I think it's a combination of people trying to find the product, asking for sponsorship, and of course, the Team Green experience, James. So yeah, good question. Yeah. Anybody else? What else we got?
I work at a Trek-owned bike shop. Any chance we'll see Box on them?
Oh man. Trek Bikes and Box, they have our samples. We were set to have some kid stuff on some of their bikes during the pandemic when things were crazy. But when everything slowed down in the bike industry after the big surge in the pandemic, Trek backed out on us. They liked the stuff. They wanted to use it. We thought we were in, but I think Trek has a lot of bikes right now. So until that inventory is gone, I think we have to kind of revisit that with those guys. But we were this close. We were this close with a lot of people during the pandemic, but because we could supply. So anyway, good question though. I like it. All right. These are product questions. They're not history questions, but it's right. At least we're talking, right? Otherwise, I'm not talking about myself. I did a bunch. You guys just didn't catch it. Anyway. All right. So you think the Big Hill, that's still Robert's question. What else?
Love and Prime 9 mountain bike group. When is the new one coming out?
So he has Prime 9 now. He doesn't have the new one. So it sounds like, right? I think we're not selling that online right now. I know we have them at all the reps. It's not online yet. So when I don't know. I have to point that at the mountain bike guys. We don't know yet, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So it's soon because we have several hundred of them here and they're out on tracks and they're being ridden. So I don't know when they're going to officially sell it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Chloe knows better than me.
We're
Anyway,
in testing phases first.
it's okay. We're still testing. I think we're close. I mean, I've been on my bike for a couple of years and it works fine. So works good actually.
What about a 31.8 Carbon Pro size bar?
Not going to happen. We have some here, and no, they're dangerous. That's why I made the titanium ones. Yeah.
Tomas. Wow,
Tomas.
Toby.
Wow, Tomas. What? Thomas needs to tell us when the drivetrain's coming out. He knows better than anybody.
Why do we size BMX frames by top tube?
Why do we?
Mm-hmm.
Good question. I think that's just the one number that we have because rider cockpit or, really rider area is really what you want to know. But the bikes have become so standard. I don't think the geometries are so far apart anymore. That's just a standard thing that people want. But a funny story, when I started Speed, which is now Speedco, yes, I started Speedco. I started with Speed. When I sold the company, J&R bought Speed and changed to Speedco, trademark issues or something at the time. But when I came out with the bikes, I labeled the bikes in millimeters because I was going for this whole European thing. I modeled the bikes after the Marlboro car and the barcodes, and I had this whole theme we're doing. No one liked my millimeters. Like 520 millimeters was 21 top tube, and people said, "Can't you just put 21 inches there instead of having to pull the calculator out and divide, 520 by 25.4?" But whatever. So anyway, since then I label everything by the number. 195 means what? 19.5 top tube. And they're so standard nowadays that your angles are so close. I think it's just the way people identify. It is what it is. My day, I had 18-inch top tube. You should feel sorry for me. Anyway. What else?
From Cheeto Jewelry, just a comment. The classic BMX race trend is how we met, and I always will be thankful for that. But I'm happy to see BMX go in any direction as long as it's going somewhere.
Well, Cheeto, you are a lover of BMX, and we appreciate that. And you're a lover of box too. We appreciate that even more. No, like I said, I just don't know, man. I think it's going to keep going the same direction that we have. They're going to get faster and longer. And bigger. I think this is the way it's going to be. But Robert had a good question. Does that scare off the parents? But I'll tell you something. So we have tires, right? We came out with tires last year, and I designed those tires for normal tracks, not for big hill tracks, because that's who's buying our stuff, right? I didn't design a tire that only the pros will use on a big hill track and tar turns because that is far and few in between. So all of our tires are really designed for an everyday track, not so much the big hill. They work fine in tar turn, but they're really, really designed for most hard packed dirt tracks, which with tack stuff on it. So anyway, yeah, it's a game of who's going to buy what and how you stay alive in this business. So yeah.
Robert Taylor on this platform.
Yeah.
Can you please make a 24-inch 1.9 tire and titanium cruiser bars?
For you, Robert? No. I'm teasing. I'm teasing. Yeah, good question. I think on the tires, Robert, it's just a matter of tooling versus quantity. That's the problem, right? And back in my day, we had 175 or 2125, and the 2125, I tried to run it. No way could I run that big old tire. So 195 is the answer. And I had that when I had Intense Tires, ITS, we had a 195 cruiser tire. But back then, my tire factories were very supportive, and it was doling out tooling like it was candy. So it was easier to bring that to, but it was probably one of our slowest sellers. But I hear you. As far as the titanium handlebars, keep your eyes out. Yeah.
What's the difference between Box 1 V-brakes and Cook Brothers V-brakes?
None. The color. No, it's just it was a collaboration with Cook Brothers, and all the box hardware is black. All the Cook Brothers hardware is silver. At the end of the day, it's the same thing, right? So it was kind of geared towards, retro guys. So same thing, same brake.
From Derek, how long did it take to develop the clutch system on your derailleurs?
That is our resident crazy guy, John, who come up with that. We have an engineer who comes from the aerospace industry. His name is John, J-O-N. I should probably not watch him. He has a new baby. But no, John figured it out not too long. It was really the hardest part of that stuff is the patents. How do we create a clutch system that doesn't infringe on the patents, and how can we get our own patent? That's really the game. And of course it has to work too, right? So that's really was the hard part, was find something that worked and get a patent on it. And we did that. And I think in our Gen 2 derailleur, our clutch is better than the other guys. So we'll see how that plays out in the end, but really happy with our clutch. I think it's one of the better attributes of our product.
From Robert Taylor, who was your fork sponsor when you raced mountain bikes for Giant?
Oh my God, Robert, you. So Robert Taylor asked a question, who my mountain bike fork sponsor was, and Robert had a lot to do with that. Robert does ride for Box now, and he got me a great deal with RST forks. I think they're still in business, but it was an upside down fork. It was one of very few upside down forks. I never forget when I was riding I had a RockShox contract, then it turned into a Manitou contract, and I was waiting in line all the time at the races trying to get my bike worked on because I was like third tier guy. I didn't like that. So Robert come to me with this upside down fork, and I'll never forget, we took it to Ortega Highway. I did my hour-long downhill, or 55 minutes. There's a downhill on Ortega Highway. There's some pedaling, walk up a couple little bits, but it's basically 55 minutes it took me to go down it, which is extremely fast. Usually most people, whatever, over an hour. But anyway, I was on that fork, and the first rock section I hit, I go, completely changed my bike. I was sold at that point, took the deal. And anyway, I rode RST forks to the end of my career. Yeah. Thanks, Robert, for that. They paid me pretty good, so I like that too. It was good. I got some over here. So Ben, Robert says, Ben, both types of tracks, can you tell kids seem to enjoy the small hill dirt corner tracks? I think so, Robert. I think that, for to grow up, I think, if you don't have nothing in the middle of that first jump, those kids shouldn't be on that track. But, I was in Tulsa a couple weeks ago, and USA BMX has the same track. They have a small hill and a big hill, and they have two different straightaways, and they come into the first turn together, then they leave into two different straightaways, come into the turn, and then two different straightaways again. So I think the one in Tulsa is probably the best way to do this. You get best of both worlds on one track. So I know there's a few other ones like that, but the Tulsa one seems to me the best way to do all this, but it's an extra, 200-300 feet long. It's got a whole extra straightaway. So it's pretty grueling to go around that track. So yeah, that's one thing, but I don't think these guys like a whole extra straightaway. From Justin, please make a 1.0. That's his tire for a cruiser. Oh yeah, that's the same question that Robert asked. You guys are thinking the same, man. So make one again. Okay, please. It's on a list to do's. It's on a list, right? But you guys don't know, but the bike industry has been really slow. And so we had a lot of inventory. So we had to kind of slow down development a little bit, but things are starting to come back around, and we're selling a lot more stuff. So Dusty wants to know, any plans for a box pedal? Someone asked that earlier, Dusty. There's stuff out there. We have a great relationship with Yoshimura, so I'm not in a big hurry to do anything. They're on my bike, my personal bike. I'm a clipless guy, and that's a very tough market to get into. So, but there's archives and drawing boards around here with a lot of stuff on it. So we'll see.
Ready to test out the boost spacing as soon as you guys have a platform to send it on.
To test out what?
Ready to test out the boost spacing. I'm guessing hub.
Okay.
As soon as you guys have a platform to send it on.
And how you spell send it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You're way in advance of where we're at right now. But I hear what you're saying. Who's that from?
Spraglo.
Spraglo? Okay. Yeah, I know where he's going with that. Okay. I think that confused a lot of people when we talk about that.
Brian, TI Cruiser bars, I'll second on that.
Yes, they're actually, I should see some any day. Once we approve those, we'll go to production. I suppose they're made. I'll ask Reich, our new purchasing guy, where they're at, because I thought they were already here on the way. The titanium bars are selling really well. They're really expensive. They're really expensive to make. But we have a bunch of them now. We sold all of them out the first time, and that's for sure the future is titanium stuff. Anybody over 12, 13 years old, it gets into the chromoly side of things. Yeah, it's titanium's the way to go. It's the safest and this last bars you'll ever buy, unless you eat taller ones, for sure. So good investment on those.
What do you think about tubeless and BMX?
Okay, been working on that for quite a while. I don't know if you guys know, back in my THE days, in the early 2000s, we put tubeless wheels on Wade boots, and I just saw him last week. Come on. Thomas Allier's bike. Thomas, awesome guy. He thanks Thomas for saying hi to me at the Worlds last week. They both loved him, thought it was the greatest thing in the world. They put their bikes in the bike bags, went off to Bercy Stadium race. They get to the other side, and there's liquid all over their bikes. It's a mess. And so they said never put them on their bikes again. So that was a downfall that over 20 years ago. But right now, for me, I think Cam Wood's running some, but I'm a little worried for us to be the first guy to put tubeless on a pro's bike who goes around a big hill first turn. I don't want to be the guy who hurts that guy. And I think there's some issues with all that. So until I see it better, I think we're just sitting back and watching at this point. Our rims are tubeless ready. Our carbon ones are tubeless ready. So the rim profile, you can put a tubeless tire on them. For the little kids, if dad wants to put the latex inside, go for it. But the big guys, I would just wait until tire technology gets better, in my opinion.
Just a few more questions. What happened to the stealth hubs?
No, there's 6 of them at the bike shop down here being built on rims. Typical. They've been here for 3 weeks and can't get them built up. Spoke issues, things like that. But there's 6 here. I know they work. Drew Polk has been running his for almost 2 years now. So that for me is enough testing. He's had no failures with it. We had to work on a little bit. We had a little spacing and tolerance issues, but he's still in the same hub for over 2 years. He loves it. So I think we're really close and it's coming.
I bought a Speedco Velox Evo and want it for a beach cruiser. How can I make it more comfortable? Can I put an off-seat post on it?
Offset?
Offset.
A Speedco. He has a Speedco cruiser? Oh, I see. Yeah, it's not long enough? Huh. I don't know, man. Yeah, you could, but then you got to kind of go behind that seat post when you go over a jump. I don't know about that. I would think that Speedco can get their geometries pretty darn good. So I don't know, tell you on that one. Sorry. Yeah, so close to come to the end. So we didn't really talk a lot about the history of Box, but we did. Robert asked some good questions about the employees, and I did tell you guys we came incorporated in 2011 under the Cycle Group, DBA as Box. We had Promax in the building for a long time. We lofted Promax off to QBP probably 7 years ago. Around the time we started the drivetrain, because we just had too much on our plates to do. Drivetrain took a ton of resources from us to get to where we're at today. Pretty happy with the new stuff. According to the sales team, there's getting a lot of requests for it, so we'll see how that goes. And here we are. We're probably the biggest supplier for BMX, and we're making drivetrain to go against a couple big dogs. So all in all, I think we've all done a good job here. So thanks for the team. Thanks from everybody. It's been 47 minutes. We had some hiccups, but If I don't see any more questions, we're out of here, right? Right, Chloe? Nothing, huh?
There's
All right.
one more if you want to take this one.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. One more.
From Sprague Logan, I currently have an 8.5-inch 22.2 bar and profile push stem. I want to go to a 31.8 bar, but at a 8.5 inch. I would lose an inch going to a box stem as there are no 31.8 stems with a comparable rise.
Yes. So that's the problem. So when we make innovative stuff here, it's the same problem Synditt's having right now. When we make innovative stuff, it takes usually 2 parts to make the interface happen, right? So when we made the Syndit Pro frames, we had to make a converter cup so you can run any crank you want in it. It's designed by Box called B52, but you can take that out, the converter cup, and then run M35 cranks because that's the advantage. That's the thing. So what you're asking about your handlebar, more makers need to step up, more makers need to be innovative. And I think Box is the only one doing that stuff. We sell a lot of handlebars. We're always out of certain sizes. So I don't know about the problem with your stem because we have top load and front load stems. You should be able to move that bar up and down about, I don't know, 5 millimeters, 12 millimeters, something like that between the 2 stems. So you should look at our different stem options, but 31.8 is the only way to go on a handlebar. 22.2 is not good for a big guy, in my opinion, or really anybody at this point. So, all right. Okay, guys. A lot of product questions, but that's fine. Next week, we'll talk about something else. I don't know. Chloe's got her new restream thing going. Sorry for any hiccups we're going. We're getting good at that too. So we'll see you next week, Thursday, noon. Right? Toby, I'm out of here.